We are live. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך העולם שהכל נברא. All right, folks. Welcome. Good morning. Changing little gears. Today we're going to start a different mimer. Hanukkah. So, Rabbanan, it's just near Hanukkah. The mitzvah of lighting the light of Hanukkah, Shammai says, Yom Rishon, on the first day, Madlik Shmeina, you light 8 candles on the first day. And here on in, you do less. Beis Hillel says on the first day, you light 1 candle. And henceforth, you add. Tamid de Beis Shammai, the reason for Beis Shammai, for what they say, is Keneged Pari Achag, is it's juxtaposed the oxen that were brought on the altar during Sukkot. That became less every day. Time of the Beis Hillel, and the reason for Beis Hillel's Ma'adim Kodesh is because we increase in holiness. So, right, 2 different ways to look at lighting the menorah. Debate. Of course, we all know that the first day we light 1, and then we continue. We add. But that's the final conclusion in halacha. But it's a debate between Beis Hillel, the house of Hillel, and the house of Shammai. So the Alter Rebbe is exacting on this. What is the light of Hanukkah that have to do with the holiday of Sukkot, with the offerings that are brought on the altar on Sukkot? And especially, as the Tzemach Tzedek asks, Beis Hillel doesn't argue on the point of Beis Shammai that Hanukkah is comparable to the offerings on the altar in the holiday of Sukkot. So you're not arguing on that point. He just says that, well, there's something that's more important, and that is when in holiness you have to increase. So the first day's 1, second day 2, and so on. So explains on a simple beginning level, what is the relationship between Hanukkah and Sukkot? They're both 8 days. They're both 8 days. So Well, number 8 is a number that's beyond nature. 7 days the world is created. 8 represents beyond the world in its created state, beyond what we call Seder Hishtalshalus, the order of creation. Okay, fine. So we see that relationship. That itself needs an explanation. That itself needs explanation. What's the connection between Sukkot and Hanukkah to beyond the order of creation? Right? That, as a result, they are both 8 days, which again, the number 8 representing beyond nature. Also, the fact that we light the Hanukkah menorah is because of the miracle that happened in the lights of the candles in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Holy Temple. Now, the menorah of the Holy Temple was only 7 lights. So why then is Hanukkah, which is a miracle that happened with the menorah of the Beis Hamikdash, the Holy Temple, so why is it then celebrated with lighting 8 um, 8 lamps, 8 lights, and 8 days? When it's the whole miracle happened with something that was of 7. Also, we have to understand that the comparison between Hanukkah is not really to Sukkot per se, to the holiday in general, even though both are 8, but that's not what Beis Shammai says. Beis Shammai says the reason why you light 8 candles the first night, 7 the second night, and 6 the third night is because of the oxen that were brought on the altar. The first night was 14, second night was 13, third night was was 12. It's because specifically it's because of the offerings on the altar and not the holiday in general. Now, that itself further is that, the menorah and the altar are 2 different artifacts or 2 different holy objects in the Holy Temple, especially the way it's explained in Hasidic teachings and mystical teachings. The light of the menorah, the candelabra, and the service on the altar are completely 2 different types of divine service. And even more so that the light of the menorah, which is something given over to Aaron the high priest, is greater than that of the offerings on the altar. It's eternal. So, what's this connection that Beis Shammai is making that Hill doesn't argue on, that there's a connection, not to Sukkot specifically or in general, but specifically to the Pareachag, to the offerings on the altar, when, this is a miracle that happened with the menorah. And there are two different modes of divine service. What are we connecting the two? Okay. Further, we need to understand. How are we doing, folks? Further, we need to understand the mitzvah of Ner Chanukah, Shetiksha Achama, when the sun goes down. When the sun goes down, right? That's when the mitzvah is. Why is that? Because the miracle of the menorah is something that happened with the menorah, right? So the miracle happened with the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. The menorah in the Beis Hamikdash was not lit when the sun set. It was lit like an hour and a quarter before sunset. So the whole miracle happened with the menorah in the Holy Temple. But we change from the way that was done. We're lighting it at sunset. Why not light it at the same time that the menorah was lit, an hour and a quarter before the sun sets? That's when the menorah was lit in the Holy Temple. And especially we know that, this is rabbinic law. So it's the rabbis that did this. The sages of Israel instituted all of the details of the mitzvah. So this is particularly important because when the sages institute a rabbinic law, they try to do it as close to and to mimic, if you will, the biblical law. Well, the biblical law of lighting the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash is an hour and a quarter before sunset. So why, when it comes to the menorah of Hanukkah, we change that and we do it when the sun goes down? Got all these questions over here. So the main point is that Ner Hanukkah, what is the light of Hanukkah all about? It's to illuminate the darkness. To illuminate the darkness. Which is not the case when it comes to the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. The menorah in the Beis Hamikdash was primarily not for light, right? Darkness, you need light. Hanukkah is about the darkness that we need light, the light of the menorah. The menorah in the Holy Temple was not for that purpose. It was not used for light. What's the proof in that? Is that it was lit an hour and a quarter when it's still light out. So it wasn't for the purpose of light. It was for the purpose of the presence of God amongst the Jewish people. So that's a different end, a different purpose. But the menorah, the Hanukkah lights, is to illuminate the darkness. Well, what's the whole story of Hanukkah? The whole story of Hanukkah is after the Yavanim, the Syrian Greeks, Oh, Syria, Greeks. Psh, very intriguing. Wow, interessant. There are like three different types of Greek. Um, the kingdom was in three divided into three parts. And this was the Syrian Greeks. The Yavanim, they came into the sanctuary. They impurified all of the oils in the sanctuary. The overwhelming darkness of the Yavanim was so great. Not only did they defile the holy temple and the sanctuary, but all of the oils they defiled. What's the significance of that? Well, oil is the idea of holiness, right? Holiness, you put olive oil into water, it floats to the top. Holiness means separate, distinct, above and beyond. Well, olive oil is above and beyond. When you put it into liquids, it rises to the top. All of that holiness was defiled by the Yavanim, by the Greeks. Hmm. Okay, more on that to come. We'll continue. Thank you.